Tokyo is a city of schedules, train timetables, lunch rushes. Sunday streets turn into walking plazas. Everyday hums. Everything runs on time. But on June 8th, 2008, somebody kept a different schedule. It started on a mobile bulletin board. Short lines tapped out on a flip phone. Easy to miss unless you were looking. It wasn't an anonymous taunt, and it wasn't a puzzle. It was more like a checklist. I will kill people in Akihabara. I will crash the vehicle. If the truck becomes useless, I will then use a knife. It's time. Around midday, a white rental truck rolled the light at Aurora in Kendo Mugen Dori, cut into the crowd and stopped. The driver stepped out with a dagger. The chaos would last about 2 minutes. Police forced him down at a side street and arrested him at 12:35 p.m. Less than 200 meters away. 17 people were injured. 7 never made it back home. There is footage, mostly of the aftermath. Sirens nosing into the intersection, tarps, cordons, bystanders filming. 2 different Ustream users went live from the scene. And for the first time, a lot of viewers watched the Tokyo disaster unfold online, where television had the narrative. The city had learned what the web was capable of, not just spreading news, but making it. The suspect was 25 years old, and he'd driven in that morning from Suzuka. Sold his computer to rent the truck, scouted the site the day before, and bought knives 2 days earlier. Caught on the store CCTV, practicing stabbing motions. When he spoke to police, he said he was tired of life. He said he didn't care who the victims were. He also said he hoped someone would stop him. He posted warnings for hours. He thought the internet would intervene. Akihabara was chosen on purpose. On Sundays, it's a pedestrian paradise, high foot density, and predictable timing. The place where culture meets crowd. The post treated that weekly ritual like a metronome. What turned this from true crime to internet horror wasn't mystery. It was the warnings that were written like a manifesto. They looked small and ordinary, a few lines among thousands. And yet, they were a clock that told you exactly what would happen and when. The days after, the internet did what it always does. It amplified. The messages were mirrored, translated, dissected. Copycat threads appeared across boards and inboxes. Akihabara style. Attacks promised in other districts. Bomb notes that borrowed from the same tone. Police began arresting people for posts. It would have been dismissed as trolling a month earlier. Offline, the city changed shape. Akihabara Sunday pedestrian zone, running since the 1970s, was suspended. And years later it would return, cautiously with shorter hours and more police. Retailers quietly reviewed knife displays. Event security tightened. You could still walk down the streets on a quiet Sunday, but the air is different. The street still remembers. Tokyo went back to schedules. Akihabara brought back its Sundays. But the quieter lesson stayed. On the internet, the smallest post can keep perfect time. And sometimes, we only recognize the countdown after it already hits 0. In the hills above Uzo Toyoma, there's a ruin the internet helped turn into a legend. Locals called it Tsubono Spa Hotel. Tsubono was an abandoned on-scene hotel with busted windows and spray-painted halls. the kind of place teenagers dare each other to visit at midnight. And for years, it sat on haunted spot list, a setting for urban explorer videos and ghost forums. And then a real story attached itself. 2 missing girls, a single pager message, and a case that lived online for almost a quarter of a century before the sea gave up the truth. It's May 5th, 1996, Golden Week. 2 19-year-olds from nearby Hime, Megumi Shahiki, Narumi Takumi. Family and friends believe the plan is a kimo damashi, a test of courage, at the abandoned hotel. Sometime before midnight, a pager beeps. We are in Uzu. And then silence. They don't come home. Police search, family beg for tips. And the ruin on the hill absorbs a new kind of attention. The haunted spot posts multiply, and so do the theories. And this is where the internet loves to work, a place with a story with a hole that gets filled with everything. Over time, the rumor starts to calcify all the usual myths for a case with no body and no timeline. The ruins community keeps visiting, uploading, narrating. Tsubono becomes shorthand for a very specific kind of Japanese horror, liminal architecture, rain in stairwells, the dare to go a little further inside. And because nothing changes, the legend hardens. And then, a break, and not from the mountain, but from the water. Police receive a tip in 2014. 3 men say that back in 1996, near Kairomaro Park, at Fushiki Port in Imazu, they approached the car with 2 young women inside. As they walk up, the car suddenly rolled backwards off the pier and into the dark. They panicked. They never reported it. And it takes years for the story to make it into a formal re-interview. And when it does, divers are finally sent to the harbor. Metal detectors sweep the silt. And on March 4th, 2020, a crane pulls a small car from the port. Skeletal remains inside, and a gasoline card, with the name Yashiki Megumi. DNA confirms both girls. Foul play is not suspected. But this would make the families ask an obvious question. Why did it take roughly 6 years after the tip to act? And that's the worst part of the reveal. It's ordinary. A late night drive during a holiday. A wrong move by the water. A frightened non-report. 3 witnesses who didn't want to be blamed. Who carried the memory for decades and only told it when it was safe. If you strip away the haunted spot, what you have is a tragic accident that sat unsolved because the most important piece of the puzzle never made it to the board. And in the empty space, the internet built a cathedral of rumor around an empty hotel. It's tempting to lock the door here, case closed, myth disproved, but that's not how stories end online. Even after 2020, the lore kept moving. Videos reframed the haunting from the hotel to the harbor, from the corridors to the pier, from the ruins to the witnesses who waited too long. And that's the internet horror angle, how a single unsolved line, "We are in Uzu," spawned a ghost story that outlived the evidence. On YouTube, there exists a channel with a name that's disturbing in itself. Former Boy A Sin and Confession. The name Boy A refers to one of the most infamous juvenile criminals in Japan. A 14-year-old boy named Saito Kakabara murdered 2 children. One of them, an 11-year-old, he beheaded, placing the head outside the school gates and taunting the press with the letter signed Kakabara Saito. Because of Japanese juvenile law, his real name was never released. Instead, he's reported under the name Boy A. After serving 6.5 years in juvenile prison, he was released, later publishing a memoir under the name of Former Boy A, a book called Zeka, which was heavily criticized for profiting off of his crimes. Years later, he resurfaced online. In 2015, he ran a website called The Unbearable Transparency of Being, where he posted art, writings, and even paid Q&As. That site, archived today, shows his fixation with confessions, guilt, and transparency. Now, on YouTube, a strange continuation has appeared. A channel, Former Boy A's Sin and Confession, was created on New Year's Eve in 2020. Its description reads, "Hello, I'm Former Boy A. 25 years have passed since the incident. The guilt I carried at 14 become original sin and still crawls over me. I've spoken through various media before, but now I want to deliver my transparent words to the largest platform, YouTube. Please note that there is another channel using my name, but that is a fake. Only one video has ever been uploaded, in 2022. The text in it mirrors the description, repeating lines about guilt crawling down his back, the night without God, and the inability to speak with his real voice because he returned to society. Instead, he claims to send only his transparent confession. The video uses a synthesized voice. Viewers later identified it as Aqua's Talk, same program that powers UTAU. The words themselves resemble the same tone and style used in his memoir and the website. Heavy metaphors about guilt, God, and sin. What makes the channel even stranger is his interaction with other YouTube accounts. A channel named Former Boy A, Akihabara Sunday, uploaded 2 videos in 2019, showing a masked man in his apartment talking to a camera. On that channel's final video, Former Boy A's Sin and Confession appeared in the comments, calling the account a fake. So we have 2 Boy A channels, one denouncing the other, both claiming the authenticity. The Sin and Confession account seems more deliberate, more in line with his past writings, but it uploaded only once, and has since gone silent. As of now, there is only one comment on the video: is it real? But given that Boy A has written books, letters, and websites before, forgotten YouTube upload wouldn't be out of character. And whether authentic or not, opens the same question that's followed him for decades. Is he trying to unburden guilt, or is he seeking attention through the darkest thing he ever did? And if this is really him, then his words are now sitting quietly on YouTube, nearly ignored, waiting to be heard. A 5-word post on an anonymous forum. 60 minutes later, a highway bus on Kyushu was hijacked, carried live on national television. United negotiations, a dawn raid, and a username that becomes legend in Japanese web lore: Neomugicha. 1999 through 2000. 2chan explodes. Massive, anonymous text boards stitched together by topics. Handles existed, but most users posted nameless by default. That frictionless anonymity built a culture that was candid, loud, and often toxic, and it attracted police scrutiny after crimes began to be telegraphed there. After the bus case in 2000, authorities started regularly monitoring the boards. And into that world steps a teen who refuses to be faceless. Early posts under a fixed handle provoke the board. He had a cat avatar and adopted the name Cat Killer before rebranding it as Neomugicha. a nod to an older 2chan personality, Mugicha. May 3rd, 2000. A thread appears titled Saga City, Saga Prefecture, 17-year-old. The handle, and the body just a typed cackle. In later reportings, that line becomes a de facto warning. A Nishiteshu highway coach leaves Saga for Fukuoka. 21 people on board, 1:35 p.m. A 17-year-old produces a kitchen knife and seizes control near Dazafu. Curtains drawn, seats blocked, phones confiscated. Passengers began scheming escapes. One jumps from the moving bus and alerts police. By 2:47 p.m., authorities know they have a rolling hostage crisis. 5:24 p.m., in a tunnel, 4 male passengers are released. 5:50 through 6 p.m., the bus is funneled to a parking area on the Sanyo Expressway in Higashi Hiroshima. Negotiations intensify. News helicopters track every move. And overnight, the coach sits under the floodlights. Food and portable toilets are traded for hostages. 5:03 a.m., May 4th. Flashbangs. Windows smashed. Special assault team officers surge in and seize the teenager alive. The crisis lasts about 15.5 hours end to end. 1 passenger doesn't survive, and 2 more are seriously injured. The username Neomugicha becomes shorthand. The moment an anonymous post stopped being just online. Japanese and international outlets draw a straight line. 2-channel message, real-world hijacking, televised standoff. In the months after, police track threats faster, and the board's reputation hardens. Inside Japan, the case helped fuel a larger reckoning over juvenile crime. Alongside other late 90s to 2000 cases, it fed momentum for the first revision of the Juvenile Act in 52 years. 2001 changes that lower the age of criminal referral from 16 to 14. And at the end of the day, one handle, one line of text. The country forced to decide what an anonymous post is worth. And if Neomugicha says anything about the early web, it's this: anonymous never means unreal. The boards were always connected to the bus. Tokyo is a city of spectacle, and a city of silence, neon signs and the sound of trains. But also, apartments where only light is a phone screen, and the glow of a cigarette. And that's where this story begins. A dark room, a camera a few inches off the floor, and a man who almost never speaks. He calls himself Fukushima. The channel dates back to 2015. In community posts, he jokes about politics, claims he wants to be the mayor of Tama City, and asks his viewers to check his Amazon wishlist for items needed to perform curses. The thumbnails swing from random memes to black rooms lit by candles. The titles alternate between provocative, oddly specific hot takes and personal updates that don't quite resolve. The streams themselves don't play by the YouTube rules. They go live around evening in Japan. And sometimes they don't end until dawn. Hours pass with almost nothing said. He sits low to the ground, smoking and drinking, in a field of objects, arranged like an altar, tea lights, incense, religious figurines, and a Super Famicom, propped like an artifact. And in the center, a framed portrait of an elderly woman in a formal black kimono. The camera lingers on the photo while he steps out for a cigarette. as if the room keeps streaming even when he's gone. And hanging from the ceiling is a doll. Sometimes he nudges it with his bare foot, gently at first, then again when it stops, till it turns toward the lens and stares. The chat would spike. Is this a haunted spot setup? He shrugs it off. This is just an easygoing chat stream. I want to talk with everyone. Sometimes I include a cute doll or two. He even rattles off names, like he's hosting show and tell. It says the dolls came from a museum collection. The denial doesn't even make the room less strange. If anything, it makes it stranger. Early archives show the set evolving. The first visible centerpiece was a trauma doll, with both eyes filled, a sign that a goal was completed, with no context, no speech. Just a completed wish staring back at the camera. Then more statues arrive. The portrait appears. The candles multiply. The doll descends. The floor becomes a stage. He rarely breaks a spell, but when he does, it's blunt. Breaking news. My mother only has 3 months to live. 40 minutes of the usual. Smoke, silence, before he confirms the title and adds, he isn't going to visit her. Between these marathons, he uploads original music from the channel's earliest days, and then just started posting cat shorts that feel like it was trolling the algorithm. He doesn't pause the stream for meals or bathroom breaks. The phone just goes with him, first person, like the audience is a fly in the room. Nothing explicit happens. Nothing needs to. You watch the ash grow long, and the doll roll in a slow circle. You wait for meaning to arrive. And the meaning is that you're still here. Viewers drift in and ask, what is this? Some treat it like a seance. Some like performance art. Some like a cry for help. He answers in fragments, small talks, quick replies, and then back into the murk. In a recent shift, streams ending abruptly, without warning, cut to black. Chat spinning and the numbers climb away. The less he explains, the more the recommendations do it for him. What's strange is a room that refuses to perform, but also refuses to end. A ritual that you're complicit in by watching. What we won't do is assign diagnosis or event crimes. The only verifiable things are on camera, cigarettes, bottles, a floor bed by the altar, breathing that sometimes sound heavy at 3 a.m. And if this is performance, it's committed. And if it isn't, it's a man letting strangers watch the quiet parts of his life. So why does it stick? Because it inverts the rules. Most people promise spectacle and deliver it. This promises it and gives you time. It asks a question the algorithm can't answer. How much nothing will you watch if the nothing feels cursed? So what exactly are we looking at? Was it a bit, a breakdown? Maybe it doesn't matter. The result is the same, ambient fear, built out of ordinary objects, an unresolved family photo, and a camera that refuses to blink. The oldest cinematic trick in the world. Oldest shot until people start inventing meaning, translated into livestream culture, and pushed night after night, until the empty space becomes the show. There is a video that keeps disappearing and reappearing under different fingerprints. People call it Mei Time. The composition is simple and wrong at the same time. a lo-fi desktop capture of a Japanese TV clip. Viewers identify it as Gaki no Teskai, running in one window, while at the edge of the screen, another window shows a man hurting himself. A flat TV chatter, a dry, rhythmatic tick. No commentary, no framing, and no face, just two screens and a decision. The earliest trace you could actually point to isn't in 2014. It's June 24th, 2009. The original was uploaded to YouTube by a username Nomo now deleted. The dead ID that researchers pass around is SSEJIMEM4JE. An early archive snapshot shows it has been recently racked up to 250,000 views in 2009 and before being wiped. The reason most Western viewers know the name, because years later in 2014, re-uploader known as Delight Jackie brought it back into circulation. And that's when creators like Rainbot front-paged it as an unsolved internet oddity, cementing the English label, say Mei Time, and introducing a lot of us to a two-window composition. When investigators dug through related channels, they found a weird little cluster. The Nomo account looked barren, beyond the main upload, but a related channel, KM19700410, posted 4 clips in what appears to be the same room, and possibly the same person. So, who made it? Whether the two accounts were the same person, whether it was a performance, crisis, or something in between, no one has produced a primary statement that ties it all together. And the sources just keep disappearing. Mirrors go up, get flagged, and vanish. And what survives are forum threads, fragments. No proof the video ever existed, and no proof of any intent. And while I can show you the timeline, I cannot tell you why it was made.